Okay, well, this obviously has to be said. And I finally found the way to express my grievances. Anything involving big tech, be it Twitter, YouTube, Facebook, or even Microsoft, like different AAA developers, like obviously 343, uh, Bethesda, DICE, EA. With game studios, it's just obviously quantity over quality at this point, seeing as Call of Duty they try to release it every single year. Needless to say, the quality, care, and effort of the classic Call of Duty games are nothing but just memories at this point. But I'll get to that in a minute. My main focus today is to talk about YouTube. Specifically, how much of a shithole it has become over the years. Obviously, I'm not the only one on this platform that shares that sentiment. There's a lot of other people who do. Some people discuss it more than others. Other people just don't really care. But I want to put my 2 cents into this discussion. Now, YouTube only came out a year after I was born, in the year 2005. So, that was 17 years ago, if my math is correct. Meaning that YouTube went from broadcast yourself to broadcast either the mainstream media or anybody who makes us big money that isn't the people who we originally wanted the platform to be for. So obviously, I'm going to get into some topics that may or may not involve anything political. But, I mean, it just has to be said at this point. I honestly just do not care. If this platform wants to be around any much longer than its original lifespan was supposed to be, then I suggest that YouTube gets its act together. The main thing I want to talk about is censorship and the double standards that these big platforms have. That and the irony of how these companies portray themselves to be, such as the fact that Susan gave Susan essentially an award for freedom of speech, even though freedom of speech is obviously not the biggest thing that's accepted on YouTube, especially whenever it comes to commentary channels or more political channels, mainly the people who are on the more conservative side, such as Sinatra Says, Salty Cracker, Steven Crowder, among other conservative creators on this platform. By the way, remember that I said about Susan Wojcicki Wabajak getting an award for freedom of speech? I wasn't fucking kidding.
Mama Susan has been given the Freedom of Speech Award.
Believe me. Believe me. Believe me. Believe me. Believe me. Hey. Believe me.
Ironic. YouTube CEO Susan Wojcicki receives Freedom of Expression Award from Pro First Amendment Group. The award ceremony was sponsored by YouTube, by the way.
Truth is, the game was rigged from the start.
After an unprecedented year of YouTube censorship, the Freedom Forum Institute, a group which states that its mission is to foster First Amendment freedom for all, has given YouTube CEO Susan Wojcicki a Free Expression Award.
So it goes to show how much of a clown world we live in whenever somebody who has a company that censors the hell out of their content creators is given an award for freedom of speech is just beyond me at this point. But see, one of the biggest problems with YouTube is the CEO. And I know exactly who can explain this better than me.
And That's my name. It's actually not that hard to say. It just looks hard when you see the spelling.
Susan Wabijak is the CEO of YouTube. Despite having such a prominent title, her follower count on many social media websites is mediocre. The fact that I have more subscribers than her channel on her own fucking website is pretty sad. As you can tell, no one really likes this person. Every video that she's featured in on her own website has a massive amount of dislikes. So how can someone like Susan, someone who's so out of touch with her own community, have a position like CEO of YouTube? It's pretty simple, really. Mrs. Wabijak here let her smart friends, the future of Google, use her garage.
Google what started in your garage, essentially, in 1998. How did Larry and Sergey end up in your garage?
They were looking for space, and there were just the two of them, and they had one employee, and so they just moved in.
Some might call this super biased or pure nepotism, but maybe they saw something in her. Maybe they thought Susan had the potential to develop YouTube into a better website. Maybe, just maybe, Susan would have the capabilities to create a fantastic website filled with freedom and fair policies. If that's the case, they were fucking wrong.
So it goes to show, if you let someone become a CEO of your website, you'd want to pick someone who knows what they're doing and has decent leadership skills, and not someone who just lets you work in their garage. Back to the topic of censorship, let's go over to Twitter real quick. Now, people have said that there is no bias against conservatives or anybody who's right-leaning. That statement is absolutely wrong.
Difference between Twitter's definition of free speech and Elon's definition of free speech?
Twitter does not believe in free speech. Elon believes in free speech.
What do your colleagues say about it?
They hate it. Some of my colleagues are like super left. You know, our jobs are at stake. He's a capitalist. If we weren't really operating like capitalist mode, we were very socialist. Like we're all like communist.
Fucked. But even after this coming out by Project Veritas, people still think that there's no bias against conservatives, or even that conservatives on Twitter have it better than the other aisle, which still makes no sense.
And news outlets than content from left-wing sources.
Yeah, that's what you highlighted. My contention is that's a disingenuous way of wording it. It's making it sound like they're intentionally doing it. My problem is it's the algorithm doing it, and I think there's good explanations. For example,
Twitter literally in their own research document, they found this and then released it. That is them admitting.
Yeah, their algorithm.
Them admitting it.
It's their algorithm.
The headline said algorithm, dude. Are you mad because it just... It admitted it amplifies more tweets. What is Twitter? Like, it's the social media platform. Conservatives do better. They control the algorithm. That is Twitter admitting that it amplifies. I mean, I can... Listen, I will...
But I think there's
hold on, wait. I'll throw...
Gee, Hunter, it's almost like Twitter wants Twitter to look better. That's like Hitler coming out and saying that the Axis powers are more humanitarian than the Allies. Does it make it true? No, it doesn't. I also want to bring up the fact that YouTube comes up with the most stupidest, brain-dead decisions almost out of every company.
There's a cherry on top of the situation. It's this. Recently, YouTube has been on a campaign to fight misinformation, asking viewers if they can spot a fake. Jeez, I really wish there was a red thumbs down arrow with a publicly visible like-dislike ratio that could help warn viewers that a video may contain misinformation. Oh wait, YouTube removed that earlier this year. Unironically, the dislike button was one of the greatest tools for spotting misinformation and scams on YouTube. And this campaign has just shined another spotlight on one of YouTube's greatest L's of all time.
And that's not even the half of it. Remember ElsaGate? Yeah, me too. For those who don't know, ElsaGate was essentially a way for predators to condition children through videos on YouTube Kids, mainly of like Spider-Man, Elsa, and all these other characters. They did like disturbing things. It's best that you look it up. I I don't know how to explain it other than you seeing it for yourself. And I'm not about to search it up. So the response to that from YouTube is essentially to go on a purge of child-friendly channels and just straight up take their ad revenue and their comment section due to predatory comments being put on them. This scorched earth thinking is one of the mainstays in YouTube in their policies, and it has been there as long as I can remember, with my experiences seeing it around 2016. And that's not the only thing that YouTube has whenever it comes to dealing with predators. They try to silence content creators for trying to bring this issue to light.
Guys don't know, I've covered this kind of content before. I do whenever it's like a major situation, like at least if I know about it. Usually I make a video talking about it because these types of people need to be called out for this kind of stuff, right? We have people who are legitimate predators and stuff that are running around and they're doing some very unspeakable things. I mean, you gotta think there's people like EDP445 that we've called out before, right? Who was trying to literally meet up with a child, you know? These people could get away with it a lot easier, hypothetically. And it's insane to me that YouTube is punishing the people calling them out for these kinds of things, because our content brings awareness to these problems, right? Like, we make videos talking about this, I make a video covering the situation or whatever. More people then become aware of what's going on and what that person's doing. So the fact that we're getting punished for this in a way, to me, is just absolutely ridiculous. So this is all mostly started with a YouTube channel by the name of Boblax. I don't know if you guys know who Boblax is. He's one of my personal favorite people in the commentary community. I've had a lot of conversations with this guy and even worked on things with this guy in the background and everything. He's a pretty stand-up guy in my opinion, right? So to see that he's the one who was kind of hit by this situation in the first place, it kind of pisses me off a little bit more, because Josh is genuinely one of those guys that like actually doesn't deserve something like this. But he made a video that he was talking about this whole situation, right? He kind of broke a lot of this, at least for me. I figured out a lot of this from Josh, aka Boblax, and basically Boblax made a video, right? And it was like a compilation video. It was 3 videos he'd previously made where he was calling people out who had basically like sexually harassed or like spoken to minors or groomed people, you know, just the kind of content where you're exposing somebody for like doing something sexually deviant, you know what I mean? Like talking to a minor. I think we can all agree that's a pretty weird thing to do, right? No adult should be having these types of conversations with minors, you know, or, you know, pressuring people into things. Like, there's a lot of different things that go into these, but basically Boblax made a video that compiled 3 of these videos together, and he put it on his YouTube, called The Sonic Degenerates, okay? And it was more or less focused on the Sonic community and everything, because Boblax is a huge fan of Sonic. And so he's, like, really involved in the community and everything, which is cool, you know? I'm not as into Sonic as he is, but of course, to each their own and everything. So his video was taken down by YouTube, and he was issued a community guidelines strike on his channel because...
So, whenever there's actually, like, predatory behavior on this platform, anybody who brings it to light gets essentially censored. And, well, this has also happened multiple other times, not even related to grooming, but it has also happened whenever it came to, like, animal abuse, stuff like that. Now, I want to deviate from this topic for a second to bring up one of the other things from earlier is AAA games. Not only is it quantity over quality, but there's also basically no originality left in AAA games. And to top that off, games have to get super political. Now, I mean, there's games that obviously need politics if it comes to anything like any war games. Obviously, politics is going to have to come to play. But no, the politics I'm talking about is like progressive politics. They have to force in a certain type of character, be it person of color, person who's LGBT, trans, like just anything like that. Obviously, diversity is a good thing. I mean, I have no problem with it, as long as it's not forced in. I mean, one of my most favorite video game characters was Sergeant Keller from Prototype 2. I liked him more than Alex Mercer, because Alex Mercer is some edgelord dipshit. He is also an asshole and technically the villain, one of the villains of that series. He eventually becomes the villain in the second game. But changing the skin color of a pre-existing character or shoehorning in one that shouldn't be there to begin with, like, I don't know, placing a Mexican in The Witcher or something like that. It just doesn't make sense. And the thing is, content creators have to be very, very careful what they say on here sometimes. I mean, they have so much stuff coming down on them at once, like, how much did I swear? Is somebody gonna false copyright strike me? Is this video too politically incorrect? Among a bunch of other factors they have to take in account. It's so difficult because you gotta be very careful of what you say on here. Like, I feel like a Middle Eastern housewife.
Hey Abdul, can I go outside the house?
I mean, seriously. I mean, it's not just on YouTube, it's basically anywhere. Any social media. I mean, try making that joke I just made on Twitter and see what happens. Alright, this video's been going on long enough. I just needed to get all that off my chest. This isn't a normal video I'd make, it's just a bit of a rant. But, yeah. Well, if you enjoyed this video, be sure to like and subscribe if you want. This is Mr. Awesome signing out. Peace.